Westland's earlier helicopter products has its roots in an American design, namely the Sikorsky S-55. It was conceived to replace the Westland Dragonfly, which had been built as the Sikorsky S-51 originally, with both the Royal Air Force and the Fleet Air Arm, because in the early post-war years, helicopters really began to prove their utility. About 10 soldiers, but when operating in hot and high regions, high altitudes, hot climates, it was found somewhat lacking, at least in its early versions, it must be said. And of course, the British forces of that era, radial piston engine, it was followed by the HAR-2 for the Royal Air Force with the same power plant, began coming into service with number 22 Squadron at Thorney Island in February 1955. They were painted yellow, they were equipped with both a winch and a scoop net, and search and rescue detachments were set up around the UK, engaged in both service and civilian search and rescue. And here we see a demonstration of the Whirlwind's search and rescue role. As it performs a demonstration using the winch. A variety of different versions were produced, with efforts being made to increase engine power output. And this one has turboshaft as opposed to radial piston power from its Bristol Siddeley, or later Rolls-Royce Gnome, turboshaft engine of about 1,050 shaft horsepower, which gives the Whirlwind a cruising speed in the region of 104, 105 miles an hour. So, coming past us slowly with the winch simulation ongoing. A Whirlwind HAR-10, the first of which flew in the spring of 1961. The Gnome engine gave the Whirlwind much greater utility than it had previously enjoyed. The engine is mounted in the helicopter's nose. As you can see, the cockpit is set very high above it. They were used for troop transport, for anti-submarine warfare work in some of the Royal Navy's earlier efforts in that role with helicopters, and here as search and rescue platforms. There were also Whirlwinds used by the Queen's Flight for royal travel purposes. In the search and rescue role with the RAF, number 22 Squadron, the Westland Wessex. Number 202 Squadron was the last search and rescue operator of the type. They began to bring the Westland-built Sea King, another former Sikorsky product, as the F-61, into service from 1978, the very last RAF Whirlwinds on Anglesey. This one was originally built as an HAR-2 model, served with number 22 Squadron at St Mawgan in Cornwall. It was modified a few years later to Mk.10 standard. expression on its nose as we see it from the front. This machine served with number 202 Squadron, then went through several of the other bases where 202 had detachments, Leuchars, Coltishall and Chivenor, and its last service was with the Search and Rescue. It wasn't retired by the RAF, this Whirlwind, until 1981, when it became an instructional airframe with the Search and Rescue Engineering Wing at Finningley, now Doncaster Sheffield Airport. A faster pass with a wave from the crewman in the door. To him, a wonderfully distinctive machine, and nice to see historic